Welcome back to the Daily BS. My name is Doug Larson. You can find us at barbellshrugged.com. I got a question from a 16-year-old who had started CrossFit about a half year ago. It says, since then, more and more of his joints have been hurting. He has bad posture, a little bit of scoliosis. Says his upper back is very rounded over. He says, would you recommend CrossFit for teens like me, or will it just lead to more injuries? Will my joints stop hurting if I better my posture, and do I have any other tips for him? So CrossFit is basically just name brand fitness, and there's a very low barrier to entry to be a CrossFit coach, which means you're going to get a lot of variation in the quality of coaching that you get. You might not even have a coach at all, so you might want to start with that. Finding a good CrossFit coach is super important. CrossFit offers a lot of variety in the type of movements that are a part of this sport, and there's a lot of learning that goes into that. There's a lot of technique to learn. There's a lot of mobility restrictions that people have that keep them from learning that good technique, and there's a lot that goes into it. So if you don't have a CrossFit coach, try to find yourself a CrossFit coach. Just go to any CrossFit gym in your town. Generally, if they've been open for longer, that tends to be a good thing. Try to find someone who's been in the fitness industry for a long time, and not just somebody who has a full-time job somewhere else and just is picking this up as something fun to do on the side. You'll get better quality coaching in most cases like that. Not all the time, but in most cases. So, if you looked at CrossFit and compared it to any other industry, we have a 2-day certification that makes you a CrossFit coach, and almost anybody can do that, and if you pay attention, you'll get certified. And you wouldn't do that if you were going to a doctor and he said, I got a 2-day certification over the weekend, and you wouldn't let that doctor treat you more than likely. So you can be a really good CrossFit coach or a really bad CrossFit coach, and the certification has nothing to do with that. Usually it has to do with how much experience you have and your education before you ever showed up for that certification. So you want to try and find out if those CrossFit coaches have a background outside of just the level 1 certification. Okay? An academic background is good, coaching experience is great. Other certifications are also a good sign. The more they have, the better. Okay? So find yourself a good CrossFit coach. That way you're not coaching yourself, and they can help you work on your mobility, work on your technique, and you can get good programming from them to work around the injuries that you have, and they'll work with you to make sure that you're only doing movements that you can do correctly, and that way you can load those movements, and the movements that you're not doing correctly, you can, for the most part, not load those quite yet, not go heavy on those movements, work on your mobility, work on your technique, and then once your mobility and your technique is good, then you can start loading those other movements. So that's a very conservative approach to CrossFit, and if you already have a lot of injuries, then that's probably the approach that you should adopt. If you are totally injury-free and you're a person that really wants to just go out and get after it, CrossFit kind of lets you do that in a lot of cases. They let you just jump into a Metcon or jump into strength. Even if your technique is a little bit shady, sometimes CrossFit coaches will let you load up and go heavy anyway, and that sells really well and people really like that, but it's not necessarily the most conservative way to go about it, and it's probably not a good long-term plan. So definitely go to a facility where they're going to keep a good eye on you, and they're not going to let you go too heavy too soon until you have very good technique. So that's the tips I have for you on that. If you have any more questions, you can go to barbellshrugged.com, click the Ask a Question tab at the top of the page, and you can ask us a question through the website, or you can go to Twitter at Barbell Shrugged, or Facebook, facebook.com/Barbell Shrugged Podcast, and you can ask us a question on our Facebook wall.
If you like this video or any of our other videos, make sure to share it on your Facebook wall by clicking share, and then the Facebook icon, and then also like it. Thanks, Shrug Thugs.